Alright guys, I found the inline fuse. And I'm going to connect it right over here to the positive on this battery. And we're going to connect the positive to the red, which is positive. We're going to hook the negative, which is the black, to the black, which is negative. Now I'm going to redo the positive because I didn't put it between the two washers. I thought it only had one washer. It's got two. We're going to connect our positive to my inline fuse here with just a wire nut. Like I said, I'm just hooking this up temporarily right now. And then we're going to hook the negative to the negative terminal on this battery. You hooking this up permanent, you want to get you some good ends and stuff. To where I'm just stripping the wire and putting it on the battery terminal. It's got a little, this battery's got a little bolt nut right here. This is a marine battery, so you can tighten it down right here. You ain't got to hook it to the post. Guys, another tip about a diesel heater is when you hooking it up to your power supply, you want to make sure it's hooked up good and you got good supply of battery power. You don't want your power to run out while this heater's running. And if it just automatically shuts the fuel off, it can damage this diesel heater. A diesel heater has to go through a shutdown phase at the end. When you stop it, it stops supplying the diesel, but the power keeps blowing the fan to cool that down. Because if you just lose power all of a sudden, and the fan don't run to cool it down after it stops supplying fuel, it can damage it. It tells you that in the manual. So next, I'm finna go get some diesel fuel. And that's another thing. I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but this is a diesel heater. And I do hear tell that you can run them off of kerosene. And that makes sense because my dad had an old kerosene heater that kind of worked on this same function. But where I see something that I don't like in this manual that could get somebody in some big trouble, it's got down here diesel. But up here on step number 1 it says add gasoline. I don't think you want to put no gasoline in here because you might create you a little bomb. So I foresee, I think they got a little misprint in their book here, or either. I ain't gonna know. I ain't gonna put no gasoline in it to see if it'll run it. I know that. It might run off of gasoline, but this boy won't be doing it. That's getting a little too explosive when you start putting gasoline in it. So let's go get her fuel bring in here, and we're gonna fill her up with fuel. guys, I got 5 gallons of diesel fuel here. But instead of picking this up and trying to pour it, I got this convenient little pump, runs off of 2D batteries. And I picked this up at Wally World. That's Walmart for you folks don't know what Wally World is. And this is a very handy when you want to fill your lawnmowers and stuff up. Look how fast it pumps that fuel. I bought this so my wife could fill up the lawnmowers herself, and then after I bought it for her, I don't hold these tanks up no more myself. I use this all the time for my tractor. I get 5 gallons of fuel, I can pick it up and just bring it home and set the can on top of my tractor and sit there and fill it up. Don't make no mess. And see guys, when you turn it off, pick the hose up, it runs right back. What's in there runs right back into your can. So the only mess you got is what just a little bit of drips is on the shaft there itself. Put her top back on her diesel fuel here, set it back outside. Now, next we're going to see if we can fire this thing up. I ain't worrying about the remote right now. I'll turn this thing around here. And I got a feeling first we got to figure out how to prime it. Then, when we do get it fired up, it's probably going to be a little exhaust smoke. Because these things, once you get them primed, and you get them started, it takes several minutes for them to build up and get their heat built up before it starts blowing heat. Now I'm going to try to find a thermometer that we can stick in the end here and see how hot the heat is that it's blowing out. So let's see if we can figure this out. Now on the control part here, you got a power button, up and down there, a OK button, and a setting button. Now, these directions here is very vague. Very, very vague. Hard to understand. Now I'm going to try this first, and holding the power button, and then holding the down button. That just turned it on. That didn't go in the prime mode. I hear the pump pumping. It's got a little light right here. Try to get y'all up pretty close. Got a little light right there lit up. That red in that heater. I'm thinking that means that's the glow plug light. You hear that? Doop, 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 doop. That's the fuel pump. If you remember what I was showing y'all how it works, that cylinder, that's why it makes that thump, thump, thump. Because every time it pumps, that metal's hitting metal inside that pump. I wished I wouldn't have put it back together so I could see what the fuel's going through the line yet. For some reason this didn't go. I thought I'd done what the directions said, and it didn't go to the prime mode where it just primes before the heater fan comes on. Alright guys. We're just gonna let it sit here and run a while and see. I'm starting to get a little smell out of the muffler here, so apparently it's getting a little fuel to it. But like I said, I know it takes them a while to get up to heat and running. So we just gonna let it run. I hear it speeding up now. Speeding up on its own. The pump pumping faster, the fan speeding up. So while it's heating up, I'm gonna go see if I can find a little temperature gauge that we can stick in the vent and see. Alright guys, so after about 10 minutes, it got prime, 10 to 15 minutes, I didn't time it. But after about 10 to 15 minutes, it's done got going and it's blowing hot air. This is the exhaust, and this is the reason I know it's blowing hot air. That exhaust heat is 155 degrees. Now the air that's coming out of it at this point, which is going to get hotter, that's showing 99 degrees. That shot right there showed 149 degrees, 145, 164, 156. And it's just going to get hotter and hotter. It ought to get up around 200 or more, close to 200. And that's in about 15 minutes, but like I said, now it had to prime itself since it's never been on. Now I did turn it all the way up with the arrow key to 5, actually it went up to 5.5 kW. I thought this thing was just a 5 kW, but it went up to 5.5 on that reading. Somehow you're supposed to be able to change that, but it won't be in degrees, it'll be in Celsius. Instead of setting your temperature on kWs, you can set it in Celsius. Yeah, that thing blowing some good hot air. That's 184 degrees, that shot. Okay guys, that there just read 200 degrees, 204, 200, 206, 202. That's 245, but now this is a laser, so it's shooting down here on the inside of that pipe. 221, and that pipe's getting so hot I can't hold on to it. Now the plastic here, that's heat plastic, so I can hold on to it. 208 degree air, guys. Now just to give y'all an idea how hard it's blowing, that's a rag. That's to give y'all an idea how hard it's blowing. And actually that's 2 layers of rag. That's a sleeve cut out of an old shirt. Let me see if I can get something else. So guys, just to give y'all an idea how hard it's blowing, here's paper towels. It's blowing harder than the vents. Man, that's been getting so hot I can't hold on to it. It's blowing harder than the vents in that travel trailer there blows out of that central heat, I can tell you that. I can promise you, this'll heat this building up quick once I get it set up and stuck through the wall. We're gonna see what the heat is now. Alright, so that's about its max heat. It's staying at 2 200, that's 208. 208 again. 212. So it's staying around that 200 degrees. 200 degree air. But now you don't want to be enclosed with your exhaust running in here with your doors enclosed. We're just doing this as a demonstration review on how to set this up and things to look for. Now after I get this set up, we're going to get out here one cold morning and I'm going to do y'all another video of the temperature inside this shed, because today you see I'm in short sleeves. It's actually 70 degrees outside here in December. So you want it set up with your exhaust outside and your vent back here outside. So what I might do, instead of setting this up outside and running my vent through this wall over here, I might set this up in my shed and run my exhaust and this vent outside. That's probably what I'm going to do. That way this will stay inside. And I actually have a propane heater sitting right there that I'm probably just going to set this on top of and not use propane. Because I think this is more efficient money-wise than using propane. Also, when I get my greenhouse, start using it in February, I'm going to use this little heater in it. Because the air that's coming out of this is supposed to be dry air. It ain't supposed to have no fumes or nothing. That's why you got your exhaust and you got your air intake back here for your burner. So this should work in a greenhouse. Now if you put an unvented propane bottle in a greenhouse, then it's harmful for your plants. It'll keep your plants from growing or kill them. But I'm going to try this and see if I can use it in my greenhouse. So between my shed here and the greenhouse, I think we're going to be enjoying the heat. So guys, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to just let this thing run. Again, this video is mainly about unboxing, setting this up, and getting it started. Now, next video I do on it, like I said, it'll be in my greenhouse or in this shed, probably in this shed on a good cold day. And maybe at that point I'll learn a little bit more about the control center here, what you can do with the controls. I know the air key turns it down, and as I turn it down, see I done got down to 4.5 kW. You hear the fan shut down, slowing down, plus the pump slowing down on the amount of fuel it's putting in there. I'm all the way down to, it goes down to 1.7 kW. Still got the 200 degree temperature, which it may cool off here a little bit after it has time, but you can hear your pump slow down and the fan slowed down. And what I was getting at, once you got your camper or your trailer or whatever you using this heater in, unless it's a big old place and you down in the teens and it's extremely cold, you turn it down, it ought to keep you at comfortable temperature, and it's going to run even that much longer hours. One of the main things you got to remember, you don't just turn it off and walk away. You got to turn it to shutdown mode. Alright guys, I can't wait. I want to see what it does when you go in shutdown mode. Now, what it says to do, long press This is the VEVOR key. For 2 seconds, equipment entering blow-off cooling process displays the little fan blowing symbol. Turn off the equipment after cooling. So let's see what happens. Like I said, I don't know if y'all can read what's on the panel. So I'm gonna hold this for 2 seconds. Alright. It says off, but it's showing the fans. And you can hear the fuel pump stopped. And it stopped blowing out the exhaust, but it's showing the fan turning and it's still blowing heat out. Now it's got to go through a shutdown to get all the heat to cool the motor down in there. This is where it's saying you don't want to just force it to shut off. Just say you camping and you ready to go. Don't just unhook your battery and say I'm ready to go. You wait for it to go through its shutdown mode. If you don't, you can damage it. Cause for this thing to be blowing 200-degree air out, ain't no telling how hot it is in there where that injector is. So let's see how long, what it does. It just says turn off equipment after cooling. So I don't know if that fan will stop running and then that's when we know to turn it off, or you do it until the temperature cools off blowing out here. That's what I'm saying, the directions is very, very vague. Alright, now the fan's speeding up. It's cooling down, but it's still blowing 140-degree air, guys. So it takes it a little while to go through the cool down mode. We're gonna let her sit here and run, and then we'll see what happens next. But guys, a lot of the people on YouTube using these at campers camping, they set them outside and run the vent, have a spot fixed like I was showing you in that picture attached. Run the vent like through their window or something. But I ain't so sure how good that is, because this little control panel, I don't figure it's too waterproof. Well, even on a heavy dew night, sitting outside, but I guess you could cover it with something, especially if you just camping one night. You ain't gonna be set up for no week at a time, but you might cover it, have a umbrella or something over it to keep snow or water from getting on that. Because if you're hunting out of a tent, that's what you'd have to do, and then just get you another pipe and run this inside your tent. Yeah, it's cooling way on off. It's done down to 99 degrees now. So we done went from 200-degree air average down to 99. So, alright. It just kicked off. So it took it about a good 5 to 7 minutes to go through cool down mode. And the little fan went off. So now there's nothing's happened. I hit the button and I didn't hold it 2 seconds and it turned it back on. Now I'm wanting to turn it off. I guess I messed up and turned it back on. Now it ain't letting me turn it off. That's what I'm saying. The directions are very vague on. But that's just the Probably got to go through its cool off again. Yeah, it does, because the pump ain't pumping and the fan's running. But I got to figure out once it goes through the cool down mode how you just turn the box off. It just says turn off equipment after cooling. It don't say. Oh, I bet I know what it is. When it said turn off equipment, I bet your little control panel here stays on even when it's hooked to the battery. So it had done went totally off, I'm thinking. Then that means I could unconnect the power if I wanted to, if I wanted the box to go off. But like I said, you're supposed to be able to change this from now it's speeding back up, but it still ain't shooting no fuel, so we're finna see if it goes off again. But before I said that, I interrupted my own self, didn't I? You can change this somehow to degrees in Celsius. Also, you can set a timer on it to where this thing will come on at a certain time and go off at a certain time. Now that would be pretty neat too. I think it's got 2 settings on it where you can do it for 2 different times. You can set it to come on, run so long, go off. Set it to come back on again so long, and so long to go off. So that may be pretty handy, especially in my greenhouse. Alright, that's what it is. So it's off. Everything's off. But I'm assuming the panel stays lit up as long as you got it connected to a power supply. So I'm going to disconnect the power supply. Everything goes off. We're going to hook it back to the power supply. Everything's lit back up. Now, what I want to do is see if I can change this to degrees in Celsius instead of the. Get y'all over here so y'all can watch it. Alright, it says to change to Celsius on your settings gear, just do a long press. That didn't do nothing. Okay guys, so how to set it to Celsius. On your settings button, hold it there for a long time. Then click it again, and that's your timer setting for 1. If you want to change it, you go up and down and set your times. And then hit OK. After you choose, I chose not to set no times for automatic timing. And then hit OK, and now it's on Celsius. So see, I can change the degrees Celsius right here. 11 degrees Celsius, 12. Now we're gonna start her back up. Hold the power button. It comes on. And I'm gonna turn it all the way up. How many Celsius it go to? 35 degrees Celsius. Now again, it's gonna have to go through its warm-up mode. Fan's running, pump ain't started pumping yet. Alright, so see, after you start it up, it takes it a moment. Now you hear the fuel pump coming back on. As it starts pumping fuel, it'll start warming up again. It just takes it a few minutes to get all warmed up and re-going. Alright guys, so that's it. That's all for this video. I just wanted, like I said, that ought to give you a little bit on how setting one up. This is the park model. It ought to pretty much be the same for the other model, the one that's in the tall, narrow suitcase. Guys, the only difference in the park model and the one that's taller and narrow is the fuel tank setting on top of everything, so it makes it narrow and taller, and your little tank sitting up here. That's the only difference in them. I just chose this one because I liked it shorter, more compact, instead of being taller and narrow. But wherever you're going to use it, that's something you may want to look at. Now the other one that don't come in a box at all, that would be more if you want to install it permanently somewhere. That would be the way you would want to go. So I hope this helps someone out. Like I said, I've never owned one other than my dad had one all my life that run off of kerosene, but it wasn't nothing like this. It was in a big long tank, but it was the same thing. It was a kerosene heater instead of a diesel heater, which I think you could run diesel in it too back then, but he just always used kerosene. But I hope this helps you out. Give someone a little bit about on assembling it, what you can do with them and how they work. Like I said, once it gets cold, we're going to do a little test in this shed here. The temperature, like I said, the outside temperature today is 70 degrees. So we really ain't getting to give it no test, but once I get it set up, you're going to be seeing some more videos on this. And maybe by that time I'll play with it and have it where to set, come on and off by itself. You know, a man could have it. If he's got it in his workshop or something, he can come on about an hour before he got to work and have a shop warmed up before he got there. So it could be pretty convenient to have. But if you like this little video and you think it helped you out, please give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. If you know anybody may be interested in these videos, please share them on your social media. That's the best way you can help me out on my YouTube channel. And if you're interested in this, I ordered mine online from VEVOR. You can get them from Amazon. Matter of fact, I'll leave you an Amazon affiliated link in the description below this video if you want to make it convenient for you to go straight to it. Just because I leave Amazon links, that don't mean that's the only place you can purchase things. But guys, I appreciate y'all watching. Hope y'all have a great day. God bless. See y'all next time.